Africa is producing more electricity than at any time in history. So, why are you still sitting in darkness? Why does your day still stop when the power cuts? Why do businesses still rely on generators? Why does solar keep growing, but your life doesn't feel more stable? The answer is not what most people think. If you follow the news, the story sounds optimistic. Solar capacity is expanding, wind installations are increasing, investment is flowing. And across Africa, countries are announcing record renewable growth. And to be clear, that growth is real. Africa has some of the world's best solar potential, some of the fastest growing renewable markets. And from a policy perspective, this looks like momentum. But momentum on paper doesn't always translate into stability in life. Let's talk about what you actually experience. Power that disappears without warning, voltage that damages your electronics, refrigerators that fail, and businesses that hesitate to expand. You don't experience megawatts, you experience interruptions. You experience uncertainty. You experience planning your day around power. And that contradiction creates frustration. Most people assume one thing: there isn't just enough electricity. And sometimes that is true. But increasingly, in many countries, generation capacity has grown. The deeper issue is not only how much power is produced, it is whether the system can carry it. Imagine electricity as water. Power plants are like reservoirs, but water must travel through pipes to reach your home. If the pipes are old, if they leak, if they are narrow, or if they were built for a smaller population, then no matter how much water you store, it won't arrive reliably. That is the grid. Transmission lines, substations, transformers, and distribution networks. In many African countries, large parts of these systems were built decades ago for smaller cities, for lower demand, and for different realities. The generation has changed. The highway has not. When new solar plants are built, they feed power into the grid. But if transmission lines are overloaded, if substations lack capacity, if maintenance is weak, power is lost before it reaches you. Sometimes electricity is generated but cannot be evacuated. Sometimes it is curtailed or switched off because the grid cannot absorb it. So electricity exists, but the system that delivers it is fragile. In 2026, demand is rising fast. Cities are expanding. Appliance ownership is increasing. Digital infrastructure depends on constant power. At the same time, climate pressure is pushing countries towards renewables. But renewables require smarter and stronger grids. They require flexibility, they require storage, and digital monitoring. You cannot run a modern renewable system on a fragile analog grid. When grids are weak, the cost spreads quietly. Utilities lose money, and governments accumulate debts, while private investors demand higher returns. Risk increases, and risk is expensive. That expense eventually lands on consumers like you, which means unreliable grids don't just cause darkness, they make electricity more expensive. Solar panels are visible, they photograph well, they symbolize progress. But upgrading transmission lines doesn't look impressive. Maintaining transformers is not glamorous. Infrastructure rarely trends, but infrastructure determines whether progress reaches people. A real energy transition must focus on systems, on generation, transmission, distribution, governance, and maintenance. It must prioritize reliability because Electricity only changes lives when it is trusted. I explain this because when progress doesn't reach people, they begin to doubt progress itself. Africa isn't short of power, it is short of systems that deliver it. And until we fix the grid, darkness will continue to interrupt opportunity.